Captain Lisa Martinez stood in the main corridor of the Horizon Runner and watched her crew prepare for the most important meeting of their lives. The diplomatic vessel was small compared to military ships, but it was humanity's face to the galaxy. Everything had to be perfect. Captain, the Vakrian warship just dropped out of hyperspace, Lieutenant Jake Morrison said from the bridge. His voice carried through the communication system. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Lisa nodded and adjusted her uniform. The Vakrians were powerful, militaristic, and they looked down on most other species. This meeting would determine if humanity could establish trade relations with their empire or be dismissed as another weak civilization. A low growl came from behind her. Lisa turned and saw Brutus waddling down the corridor, his claws clicking on the metal floor. The honey badger was looking for food, as always. His thick black and white fur made him look almost cute, but Lisa knew better. She had rescued him from a wildlife sanctuary 5 years ago, and he had been her companion ever since. You need to keep him in your quarters during the dinner, Amy Chun said. Walking up beside Lisa, the communications officer carried a tablet showing the Vakrian cultural protocols. The Vakrians might not understand why you have a wild animal on a diplomatic ship. Brutus is part of my crew, Lisa said. I'm not hiding him. Earth's diversity includes our wildlife. If the Vakrians can't accept that, then they need to learn. Jake came down from the bridge, his expression worried. Captain, with respect, this meeting is too important. The Vakrians have technology we need. Their trade routes could open up half the galaxy to us. One wrong move and we lose everything. Lisa picked up Brutus, feeling his solid weight in her arms. The honey badger accepted her touch, but kept watching the corridor, always alert. I understand the stakes, Jake, but I won't pretend to be something I'm not. That's not how we build real relationships. The docking clamps engaged with a metallic clang that echoed through the ship. Lisa put Brutus down and walked to the airlock. Her crew fell into formation behind her, their dress uniforms crisp and professional. The airlock door opened, and the Vakrians entered. Commander Zethrak was huge. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, his body covered in natural armor plates that gleamed under the ship's lights. His reptilian features showed no warmth, only cold assessment. Behind him came his tactical advisor and 3 security officers, all equally imposing. Captain Martinez, Zethrak said. His voice was deep and harsh. Your vessel is smaller than I expected. It serves our purposes, Commander, Lisa replied evenly. Welcome aboard the Horizon Runner. We're honored to host you. Zethrak looked around the corridor with obvious disdain. His eyes lingered on the human crew members, clearly noting their small size and lack of natural weapons. Your species is very soft, he said. No claws, no armor, no strength. How did you survive long enough to reach the stars? Lisa felt Jake tense beside her, but she kept her voice calm. We survived through intelligence and cooperation, Commander. The same qualities that brought us here today. Perhaps, Zethrak said, sounding unconvinced. Show us to this dinner you promised. Lisa led them to the dining hall. Her crew had worked hard to make it presentable, with Earth foods arranged alongside Vakrian dishes that their database suggested would be acceptable. The table was set with care, and soft music played in the background. The dinner began with formal exchanges. Lisa presented gifts from Earth, including samples of art and technology. Zethrak accepted them with minimal interest, clearly more focused on assessing humanity's value as a trading partner. His officers remained standing, their hands near their weapons, as if expecting an attack at any moment. Your planet sits in a useful position, Zethrak said between bites of food. The Vakrian Empire could use your system as a waypoint for our merchant fleets. In exchange, we would provide you with basic defensive technology. Nothing advanced, of course. Your people wouldn't understand our better weapons. Amy started to protest, but Lisa touched her arm gently. We would need to discuss the terms carefully, Commander. Humanity prefers partnerships where both sides benefit equally. Zethrak laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Equal? Captain, your entire fleet could not defeat one of our warships. You have no leverage for equal terms. You should be grateful we're willing to trade with you at all. That was when Brutus entered the dining hall. The honey badger had smelled food and followed his nose, completely unconcerned with the diplomatic meeting taking place. He waddled directly to the table and stood on his hind legs, sniffing at the dishes. The Vakrian officers stared at him for a moment. Then they burst into laughter. The sound was loud and mocking, filling the entire room. What is that creature? Zethrak asked, pointing at Brutus. Is it a pet? A toy for your younglings? That's Brutus, Lisa said quietly. He's a honey badger from Earth. A honey badger, Zethrak repeated, laughing harder. Look at it. So small, so weak. This is Earth's wildlife? No wonder your species is so fragile. He turned to his tactical advisor. On our world, we have war beasts that stand twice the height of a man. They can tear through steel with their claws. They are bred for combat and glory. And humans have this tiny creature. The other Vakrians joined in the mockery. One officer suggested keeping Brutus as a pet for Vakrian children. Another joked that Earth must be a very safe planet if such weak animals could survive there. Lisa felt her jaw tighten. Jake noticed, recognizing the warning sign. He had served with her long enough to know when she was angry, even though her face remained calm. Commander, Lisa said carefully, on Earth we have a saying. You should never judge a book by its cover. Many of our most dangerous creatures don't look threatening. This only made the Vakrians laugh harder. Zethrak wiped his eyes, as if her comment was the funniest thing he had heard in years. Are you suggesting this little animal is dangerous? Captain, I have fought in 100 battles. I have killed enemies with my bare hands. I think I can recognize a threat when I see one. Brutus had lost interest in the table and was now exploring the room, sniffing at the corners and checking for anything interesting. He moved with a rolling gait that made him look clumsy and harmless. Your people must live very sheltered lives, Zethrak continued, his tone now openly condescending. If you think this creature is impressive, you have never seen real predators. Perhaps we should bring some Vakrian wildlife to your planet. Show you what true strength looks like. He stood up from the table and walked toward Brutus. The honey badger paused in his exploration and looked up at the towering alien. Zethrak smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. I will demonstrate the difference between our species, Zethrak said. This animal should learn to respect its betters. Lisa stood quickly. Commander, I wouldn't do that. But Zethrak was already reaching down, his large hand moving to grab Brutus around the middle. He intended to lift the honey badger like a toy, to further humiliate the humans and prove his point about strength and dominance. Commander, stop. Lisa shouted, but it was too late. Zethrak's hand closed around Brutus, and Brutus responded the only way a honey badger knows how, with explosive, terrible violence. Brutus twisted in Zethrak's grip and sank his teeth into the commander's hand. The bite was not a warning nip. It was the full force of jaws designed to crack open tortoise shells and dig through concrete-hard termite mounds. The honey badger's teeth punched through the gaps in Zethrak's natural armor and found the tender flesh beneath. Zethrak's mocking laughter turned into a scream. He tried to shake Brutus off, but the honey badger only bit harder, his powerful neck muscles keeping his grip locked. The commander stumbled backward, his face showing genuine shock and pain. The Vakrian security officers drew their weapons immediately. Jake and the human security team moved fast, putting themselves between the aliens and their captain. The dining hall erupted into chaos, with both sides shouting and weapons being raised. "Stand down," Lisa commanded, her voice cutting through the noise. "Everyone, weapons down now." The Vakrian tactical advisor barked orders in his own language, and his officers lowered their guns slightly, though they kept them ready. Jake's team did the same, creating a tense standoff. Brutus finally released Zethrak's hand and dropped to the floor. The honey badger immediately took an aggressive stance, his hair standing up to make him look larger. He made a rattling, hissing sound that echoed through the quiet room. Blood dripped from Zethrak's wounded hand onto the floor. "That creature attacked our commander," one of the Vakrian officers shouted. "It must be destroyed immediately." "Your commander grabbed a wild animal without permission," Lisa shot back. Brutus was defending himself. That's what any Earth predator would do. Zethrak cradled his injured hand, his face twisted with pain and rage. The wound was deep, bleeding freely through the gaps in his armor plating. He had never expected such power from such a small creature. His pride was wounded even more than his hand. "You dare speak of defense?" Zethrak roared. "I am a commander of the Vakrian Empire. No inferior species has the right to harm me." He turned to his tactical advisor. "Vekril, execute that animal, now." Vekril moved toward Brutus, but Lisa stepped into his path. "You will not touch him. He is under my protection." "Your protection means nothing," Zethrak said through gritted teeth. "That beast drew blood from a Vakrian commander. Our law demands death for such an offense." "Earth law says different," Lisa replied. "You reached for him first. You ignored my warning. This is your fault, not his." Amy quickly pulled up her tablet and projected holographic images into the air above the table. The Vakrians watched as footage played showing honey badgers in their natural habitat. The video showed the small animals attacking lions that got too close to their dens. They showed honey badgers being bitten by venomous snakes, then shaking off the poison and continuing to fight. They showed the creatures tearing through chain-link fences with their claws and teeth. The honey badger has one of the strongest bite forces relative to body size on Earth, Amy said, reading from her database. Their jaws can exert over 400 pounds of pressure per square inch. They have thick, loose skin that makes them almost impossible to grip or injure. They're resistant to most toxins and venoms, and they're known for attacking animals much larger than themselves without hesitation. Vekril watched the footage with growing interest. He pulled out his own device and scanned the data, comparing it to Vakrian measurements. "These readings," he said quietly to Zethrak. "The bite force is comparable to our war beasts. The skin density is remarkable. How is this possible from such a small creature?" "I don't care about your data," Zethrak snapped. "This is an insult to the Vakrian Empire. An act of aggression." He pointed at Lisa with his uninjured hand. "You brought a dangerous animal onto your ship, knowing we would be here. This was a deliberate attack." "That's ridiculous," Jake said. "Brutus has been Captain Martinez's companion for 5 years. He lives on this ship. We didn't bring him here for you." "Lies." Zethrak looked at his officers. "We are leaving. But this incident will not be forgotten. The Vakrian Empire demands justice." He pushed past Lisa and marched toward the airlock, his officers following close behind. Vekril paused at the doorway and looked back at Brutus, who had calmed down and was now sniffing around the dropped food on the floor. "Commander Zethrak is not one to forgive insults," Vekril said quietly to Lisa. "You should prepare yourself." The Vakrians left the ship, their heavy footsteps echoing through the corridors. As soon as the airlock sealed, Jake turned to Lisa. "We need to get out of here. Now, that warship could blow us apart in seconds." "They won't fire on us," Lisa said, though her voice carried less certainty than her words. We're a diplomatic vessel. It would be a violation of galactic law. Zethrak looked angry enough to risk it, Amy said. She checked her sensors. The warship is powering up weapons. They're not targeting us yet, but they're ready. Lisa scooped up Brutus, who accepted being held with his usual indifference. The honey badger had already forgotten the fight and was more interested in the piece of food he had found on the floor. Get me a secure line to Earth Command. We need to report this. In her office, Lisa explained the situation to Admiral Peterson, watching his face grow more concerned with each detail. When she finished, there was a long silence. Captain Martinez, the Admiral finally said, you understand the position this puts us in? The Vakrians have military superiority in this sector. If they decide to make this a formal complaint, we'll have to respond. I understand, sir, but I won't apologize for Brutus defending himself. Zethrak was warned. I'm not asking you to apologize. I'm telling you that we have no ships close enough to protect you. The nearest battle group is 3 weeks away at maximum speed. You're on your own out there. Lisa had expected this answer, but hearing it still made her stomach tighten. What are your orders, sir? De-escalate however you can. If you have to surrender yourself and the animal to Vakrian custody, I'll understand. We can't risk a war over this, and if I refuse to surrender, another long pause. Then you'd be acting on your own authority, Captain. I can't order you to give up your life or your companion, but I also can't protect you from the consequences. The communication ended. Lisa sat in her chair, stroking Brutus's fur. The honey badger had curled up in her lap and fallen asleep, completely unconcerned with the diplomatic disaster he had caused. Jake entered without knocking. The Vakrian ship just sent us a message. It's addressed to you personally. Lisa pulled up the message on her screen. Zethrak's face appeared, his expression cold and angry. His injured hand was wrapped in medical bandages, a visible reminder of his humiliation. Captain Martinez, the recording said, the Vakrian Empire does not tolerate attacks on its officers. You have 48 hours to surrender yourself and the creature that harmed me. You will both face judgment under Vakrian law. If you refuse, we will consider it an act of war against our empire, and we will respond accordingly. There will be no negotiation. Submit or face destruction. The message ended. Jake looked at Lisa, waiting for her decision. He's bluffing, Amy said from the doorway. He has to be. One diplomatic incident can't be worth starting a war. Zethrak's pride was hurt in front of his crew, Lisa said. That might be worth more to him than peace. Vakrians value honor above almost everything else. She spent the next several hours researching Vakrian culture, digging through every file in their database. Jake prepared the ship for a possible fight, though they all knew it would be hopeless. Amy tried to find alternative solutions, contacting other alien species they had met, but none would intervene in a dispute with the Vakrians. Late into the ship's night cycle, Lisa found something. A legal tradition buried deep in Vakrian history, rarely used but still officially recognized. She read it 3 times to make sure she understood correctly, then called her senior officers to her office. There's a way out, she said. It's risky, maybe crazy, but it's a chance. What is it? Jake asked. Lisa brought up the Vakrian legal code on her screen. It's called the right of combat trial. If someone from a weaker species believes they've been wronged by Vakrian authority, they can challenge it through single combat. Both fighters use only natural abilities, no weapons or technology. The winner's position becomes law. Amy stared at her. You want to fight Zethrak? Captain, he's 3 meters tall and covered in armor. He would kill you in seconds. I'm not going to fight him, Lisa said. She looked down at Brutus, who was chewing on a toy in the corner. Brutus is. Jake and Amy stared at Lisa like she had lost her mind. The small office felt suddenly cramped as the weight of her words settled over them. "You can't be serious," Jake said finally. "Send Brutus to fight a Vacrian commander? That's not a combat trial, that's execution." Lisa pulled up the translated text of the ancient Vacrian law. "Look at the exact wording. It says both combatants fight using only natural abilities. It says a representative of the wronged party, not necessarily the party themselves. Throughout Vacrian history, they use champions based on capability." "But Brutus is an animal," Amy protested. "Zethrak will never accept that. He'll accept it because his pride won't let him refuse," Lisa said. "Think about it. He was humiliated twice by Brutus. Once when he got bitten, and again when his entire crew saw him scream in pain. If he backs down from fighting the creature that hurt him, he'll look weak. Vacrians value strength above everything else. He has to accept." Jake stood and paced the small office. "Even if he accepts, Captain, you're sending Brutus to die. Zethrak outweighs him by hundreds of pounds. He has natural armor, claws, and a tail that can break bones. What chance does a honey badger really have?" Lisa opened her research files and projected images onto the wall. Hours of footage played, showing honey badgers in combat. They fought off packs of wild dogs. They dug through concrete and steel. They survived bites from the deadliest snakes on Earth and kept fighting. One video showed a honey badger attacking a full-grown leopard that had gotten too close to its den. "Honey badgers don't fight like other animals," Lisa explained. "They don't retreat. They don't give up. They attack weak points, and they keep going until their opponent stops moving. Look here." She highlighted a specific video. "See how the honey badger's skin works? It's thick and loose. When a predator bites down, they just get a mouthful of skin. The honey badger can twist around inside its own skin and bite back." Amy watched the footage closely. "What about Zethrak's armor? His natural plating's supposed to be incredibly strong." "Armor has weak points," Lisa said. "Joints, eyes, throat. Places where flexibility is more important than protection. Brutus's instinct is to go for exactly those spots. He doesn't think about it. He just does it. That's how honey badgers survive on Earth. And if you're wrong?" Jake asked quietly. "If Brutus loses?" Lisa looked at the honey badger, who had abandoned his toy and was now sleeping peacefully in the corner. "Then I'll surrender myself as originally demanded. But I'm giving him a chance first. I won't just hand him over to be executed without a fight." She composed a message to Commander Zethrak, carefully using the formal language required by the combat trial tradition. The message invoked the ancient right, stated her position that Brutus acted in self-defense, and named the honey badger as her champion. She sent it before she could second-guess herself. The response came faster than expected. Zethrak's face filled her screen, and this time he was smiling. It was not a pleasant expression. "Captain Martinez, I accept your challenge with great pleasure. Your animal drew my blood and embarrassed me in front of my crew. It will bring me satisfaction to crush it personally. The combat will take place at dawn tomorrow, ship time, in the cargo bay of my vessel. My crew will witness my victory, and then we will discuss your surrender." The transmission ended. Lisa sat back in her chair, feeling the full weight of what she had just set in motion. "I need to prepare Brutus," she said. "Jake, can you handle communications with the Vacrians? Work out the exact rules and make sure they follow the traditional protocols." "Already on it," Jake said. He paused at the door. "Captain, for what it's worth, I think you're either the bravest or the craziest person I've ever served with. Maybe both." After he left, Amy remained. "You really think he can win?" "I think he has a better chance than anyone else we could send," Lisa said honestly. "And I think Zethrak is underestimating him. That gives us an advantage." Lisa spent the rest of the evening studying everything she could find about Vacrian anatomy. Their thick armor plates covered most of their body, but there were gaps. The joints needed to flex, so the armor thinned at the knees, elbows, and hips. Their eyes were set in deep sockets with protective ridges, but the membranes themselves were vulnerable. And their throat, while muscular, had to remain flexible for breathing and eating. She watched the dining hall footage again, analyzing how Zethrak moved. He was strong and fast for his size, but he relied on his natural advantages. He expected his armor to protect him. He expected smaller creatures to be afraid of him. Those expectations could be exploited. Brutus woke from his nap and wandered over to Lisa, looking for attention. She picked him up and held him, feeling his solid weight, his coarse fur, the powerful muscles beneath. He looked up at her with dark eyes that showed no concern, no fear of what was coming. "I'm sorry," she whispered to him. "I'm sorry that talking didn't work. I'm sorry I'm putting you in danger. But I believe in you. You're tougher than they think. Show them what Earth creatures can do." Brutus made a small huffing sound and licked her hand, then squirmed to be put down. He was hungry again. Lisa fed him his favorite meal, chicken and eggs, making sure he ate well. He would need his strength. Jake returned with the confirmed rules. The combat would be unarmed and unarmored, using only natural abilities. No outside interference was permitted. The fight would continue until one combatant was unable to continue or submitted. Death was not required, but it was permitted. Both sides agreed to honor the outcome, whatever it was. Vekril, the tactical advisor, sent a private message. Jake said. He warned that Zethrak is a decorated warrior. He's killed enemies in personal combat dozens of times. He wants you to know what you're facing. He's trying to get me to back down, Lisa said. Maybe. Or maybe he's showing respect by giving us a fair warning. Hard to tell with Vakrians. The night cycle passed slowly. Lisa tried to sleep, but couldn't. She kept running scenarios in her mind, thinking about every way the fight could go. Some of her scenarios ended with Brutus winning. Too many ended with him dead on the cargo bay floor at dawn. The Vakrian ship sent a shuttle to transport them. Lisa carried Brutus in her arms, with Jake and Amy walking beside her. The human crew had gathered to see them off, their faces worried. Some of them had grown fond of the honey badger over the years, and they knew what this fight meant. The shuttle docked with the Vakrian warship, and Lisa stepped into a different world. Everything was larger, built for creatures twice the size of humans. The corridors were dimly lit, with a reddish tint that reminded Lisa of blood. Vakrian crew members watched them pass, their expressions unreadable. The cargo bay had been cleared and converted into an arena. The Vakrian crew lined the walls, hundreds of them, all watching. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with anticipation. They expected entertainment, a quick and brutal victory for their commander. Zethrak waited in the center of the bay. He had removed his command armor as the rules required, but his natural armor plating was still formidable. His injured hand had been treated, though Lisa could see the bandages beneath the armor. He rolled his shoulders and stretched, showing off his physical prowess. Vekril approached Lisa. "Captain Martinez, there is still time to withdraw the challenge. Commander Zethrak would accept your surrender instead." "Thank you for the offer," Lisa said. "But we're going through with this." Vekril nodded slowly. "Then I wish your champion strength and honor. May the worthy fighter prevail." Lisa walked to the center of the arena, holding Brutus. Zethrak looked down at them, his expression contemptuous. "This is your champion?" he asked loudly, making sure his crew could hear. "The same small creature that bit me? You truly believe it can defeat me in fair combat?" "I believe you underestimate him," Lisa said. "That's been your mistake from the beginning." She set Brutus down on the cargo bay floor. The honey badger looked around at the arena, at the watching Vakrians, at Zethrak towering above him. He showed no fear, no hesitation. He was just assessing his surroundings the way he always did. Lisa knelt beside him. "Remember, go for the weak spots. Fight like you always do. Don't stop until it's over." She stood and walked to the edge of the arena, joining Jake and Amy. Her heart was pounding, but she kept her face calm. She had made her decision. Now she had to trust Brutus to do what honey badgers do best. Veckrel raised his hand, the signal that the combat was about to begin. The cargo bay fell silent. Hundreds of Vacrian eyes watched the small Earth creature standing alone in the center of the arena, facing an opponent 3 times his size. "Begin," Veckrel shouted and dropped his hand. Brutus did not wait for Zethrak to make the first move. The moment Veckrel's hand dropped, the honey badger charged directly at the Vacrian commander. His short legs moved fast, carrying him across the cargo bay floor in a blur of black and white fur. Zethrak laughed and swung, his massive tail in a wide arc, intending to send the small creature flying into the wall. It was a move that had broken the spines of smaller opponents in previous battles. But Brutus was already reading the attack, his predator instincts guiding him. The honey badger dropped low and rolled under the sweeping tail. Before Zethrak could recover his balance, Brutus lunged forward and clamped his jaws around the commander's lower leg, right where the armor plating thinned at the ankle joint. Zethrak's laugh turned into a roar of pain. He tried to shake his leg, but Brutus held on with the same terrible grip he had used in the dining hall. The honey badger's teeth ground deeper, working through the gap in the armor, finding the vulnerable tissue beneath. His powerful jaw muscles flexed and tightened, applying hundreds of pounds of pressure to a concentrated point. The watching Vacrians gasped. They had expected their commander to win quickly, to demonstrate the superiority of their species. Instead, they were seeing him injured within the first seconds of combat. Zethrak bent down, trying to grab Brutus with both hands. This was exactly what the honey badger was waiting for. The moment the commander's head came within range, Brutus released the leg and launched himself upward with surprising power. His claws found purchase on Zethrak's chest armor, and he climbed the commander's body like he was scaling a tree. Zethrak grabbed at him, but the honey badger's loose skin made him impossible to grip properly. When Zethrak's hands closed around his body, Brutus simply twisted inside his own skin and bit the commander's fingers. The Vacrian pulled his hands back with a curse, giving Brutus the time he needed to reach his target. The honey badger's claws raked across Zethrak's face, aiming for the eyes. The protective ridges that surrounded the Vacrian's eye sockets blocked some of the attack, but Brutus was persistent. He scratched and bit at the vulnerable membranes, forcing Zethrak to close his eyes defensively. Blinded and in pain, Zethrak stumbled backward. He swung his arms wildly, trying to knock Brutus off, but the honey badger was already moving. He dropped from Zethrak's chest and immediately went for the back of the commander's leg, targeting the tendon behind the knee. Lisa watched from the edge of the arena, her hands clenched into fists. She had studied this behavior in her research. Honey badgers instinctively attack the mobility of larger opponents. Take away their ability to move, and size became irrelevant. Zethrak felt the new attack and tried to turn, but his injured ankle made him slow. He finally managed to land a blow, his fist connecting with Brutus and sending the honey badger rolling across the floor. The Vacrian crew cheered, thinking this was the turning point. But Brutus simply got back up. The thick skin and dense muscle that protected him from lion attacks on Earth served him just as well here. He shook himself once, then charged again. This time, Zethrak was ready. He dropped to one knee, positioning himself to grab Brutus with both hands. His strategy was to use his superior strength to crush the small creature before it could bite again. It was a reasonable plan against most opponents' thought. It failed completely against the honey badger. When Zethrak's hands closed around Brutus, The honey badger twisted with incredible flexibility. His spine bent at angles that seemed impossible, allowing him to turn his head back despite the grip. His teeth found Zethrak's thumb and bit down hard. The commander's grip loosened in shock and pain. Brutus squirmed free and went immediately for Zethrak's throat. The honey badger's claws dug into the softer tissue of the commander's neck, and his teeth sought the vulnerable windpipe beneath the muscle. Zethrak panicked. He could feel the teeth getting closer to his throat, could feel his own blood running down his neck. He threw himself backward, slamming his body onto the cargo bay floor with Brutus underneath him. It was a desperate move, using his weight to crush the smaller creature. For a moment, it seemed to work. Brutus was flattened against the metal floor, pinned by several 100 pounds of Vakrian warrior. The crew cheered again, certain that the fight was over. Then Brutus began to move. His flexible spine allowed him to compress and shift even under the weight. His loose skin let him slide and squirm in ways that a creature with tight skin never could. Slowly, impossibly, he worked his way out from under Zethrak's body. The Vakrian crew fell silent. They were watching something that should not be possible. Their commander, a decorated warrior who had won dozens of single combats, was losing to a creature the size of a youngling's toy. Zethrak rolled to his feet, breathing hard. Blood ran from his leg, his hand, his face, and his neck. His eyes were watering from the scratches Brutus had inflicted. He could barely see, and every movement sent pain shooting through his injured ankle. Brutus stood a few meters away, his fur dirty and disheveled, but his stance still aggressive. He made the rattling, hissing sound again, the warning sound that honey badgers used to tell larger predators to back away. His dark eyes were fixed on Zethrak, watching for any opening. The commander charged, abandoning technique for raw fury. He wanted to grab the honey badger and tear it apart with his bare hands. But his injured leg slowed him, and his damaged vision made him misjudge the distance. Brutus dodged to the side and latched onto Zethrak's good leg, the one that was still supporting most of the commander's weight. His teeth found the ankle joint and bit down with all his strength. Zethrak's leg buckled. He fell hard, his armored body crashing to the cargo bay floor. He tried to rise, but both legs were now damaged. The pain was overwhelming, and his vision was blurred from the eye injuries. Brutus did not give him time to recover. The honey badger was on him instantly, climbing his body again, going for the throat. This time there was no escape. Zethrak tried to protect his neck with his hands, but his injured fingers could not maintain a strong grip. The honey badger's teeth found their target. They sank into the soft tissue of Zethrak's throat, just beside the windpipe. The commander's eyes went wide with terror. He could feel the pressure increasing, feel the teeth working deeper. Vekril stepped forward, his hand raised to stop the fight. The law was clear. A fighter could submit or their representative could call a match. But Zethrak shook his head weakly. His pride would not let him surrender, even as blood began to flow more freely from his neck. Brutus bit harder. His jaw muscles, the same ones that could crack open tortoise shells and dig through concrete, applied relentless pressure. Zethrak's struggling became weaker. His hands fell away from the honey badger, no longer able to defend. The cargo bay was completely silent now. Every Vakrian watched their commander dying, brought down by a creature they had mocked just a day earlier. Some looked away, unable to witness their leader's defeat. Others watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. Zethrak's breathing became ragged, then stopped. His body went limp, no longer responding to the honey badger's attacks. Blood pooled beneath him, spreading across the cargo bay floor. Vekril moved forward quickly. The combat is ended. The challenger's champion is victorious. Brutus held his grip for a few more seconds, making sure the threat was truly finished. Then he released Zethrak's throat and stepped back. He stood on the commander's chest, looking out at the watching Vakrians. Blood covered his fur, most of it not his own. He made the rattling sound one more time, a final warning to anyone who might challenge him. Lisa ran into the arena and scooped up Brutus. The honey badger accepted her touch, allowing her to hold him close. She could feel him trembling slightly from the exertion, but he was alive. He had won. The Vacrian crew parted as she walked toward the exit, carrying her champion. No one spoke. No one moved to stop her. They simply watched in silence as the small human woman carried the even smaller Earth creature out of their arena, leaving their dead commander behind. Lisa carried Brutus back to the shuttle, with Jake and Amy close behind her. The honey badger had calmed down, his aggressive stance replaced by his usual relaxed demeanor. He seemed unconcerned that he had just killed a Vacrian commander in front of hundreds of witnesses. The shuttle ride back to Horizon Runner was silent. Lisa used the medical kit to clean Brutus's fur, checking him for injuries. A few scratches and bruises, nothing serious. His thick skin had protected him from the worst of Zethrak's attacks. She wrapped him in a blanket and held him close. "We need to get out of here," Jake said quietly, "before the Vacrians decide to ignore the trial results and destroy us anyway." "Wait," Amy said, checking her sensors. "The warship is powering down its weapons. They're not targeting us anymore." Lisa looked at her communication panel. A message was coming through from the Vacrian ship. She hesitated, then opened it. Beckrel's face appeared on the screen. His expression was difficult to read, but Lisa thought she saw respect there, mixed with something else. Sadness, perhaps. "Captain Martinez," Beckrel said, "under the law of combat trial, your position is upheld. The creature acted in self-defense, and Commander Zethrak was wrong to demand punishment. This matter is closed." Lisa nodded slowly. "Thank you for honoring the tradition. We are Vacrians. We honor our laws, even when the outcome is unexpected." Beckrel paused. "I must speak with you further. May I come aboard your vessel?" "I come alone and unarmed." Jake started to object, but Lisa raised her hand. "He's welcome. We'll meet in the conference room." An hour later, Beckrel sat across from Lisa in the small conference room of Horizon Runner. The Vacrian tactical advisor looked enormous in the human-sized chair, but he had removed his armor and weapons as promised. Brutus slept in the corner, full of food and exhausted from the fight. "My people have made a grave error," Beckrel began. "We judged your species by appearance and technology level. We assumed that soft skin and small ships meant weakness. Your champion taught us otherwise." "Brutus is just one example," Lisa said. "Earth has thousands of species that demonstrate survival in different ways. We evolved on a dangerous planet. We had to adapt or die." Beckrel nodded slowly. "After the combat, I researched your planet further. The database calls it a death world. High gravity, extreme weather, aggressive microorganisms, and predators at every level. Most species in the galaxy evolved in safer environments." He pulled up images on his tablet, showing various Earth animals. The mantis shrimp strikes with the force of a bullet. The pistol shrimp creates shock waves that can stun prey. Your orcas hunt in coordinated packs and kill prey 50 times their size. And then there are the microscopic creatures that can survive in the vacuum of space. Tardigrades, Amy supplied. They can withstand radiation, extreme temperatures, and complete dehydration. "Yes," Beckrel said. "But what strikes me most is not individual creatures. It is how humans interact with them. You do not just survive alongside these dangerous species. You study them, respect them, sometimes befriend them. Your captain brought a honey badger onto a diplomatic vessel. On our world, such a creature would be caged or killed." "Brutus is part of my crew," Lisa said. "He's been with me for 5 years. I trust him." "And he fought for you," Beckrel observed. When you released him into the arena, he could have run. He could have hidden. Instead, he attacked an opponent 3 times his size. Why? Lisa considered the question. Honey badgers are territorial and defensive. Zethrak had already attacked him once by grabbing him. Brutus recognized him as a threat. But also, I like to think there's trust between us. I've cared for him, protected him, fed him. Maybe he was protecting me in return. Veckril was quiet for a long moment. We Vacrians pride ourselves on our warrior culture. We breed for strength, we train from youth, we value combat prowess above most things. And yet, a small creature from Earth, one that you keep as a companion, defeated our commander in single combat. This should be impossible. It's not about size or armor, Lisa said. It's about adaptation and determination. Honey badgers don't quit. They don't surrender. They fight until the threat is eliminated or they die. That's how they survive on Earth. And humans? Veckril asked. Are you the same? We're persistence hunters, Lisa replied. We're not the fastest or strongest, but we outlast everything else. We track prey for days until it collapses from exhaustion. We solve problems through cooperation and tool use. And we don't give up easily. Veckril stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at his warship. Commander Zethrak's death will cause changes in the Vacrian Empire. He had many supporters, but he also made many errors in judgment. I am now the acting commander of this vessel. He turned back to Lisa. I wish to propose something new. The trade negotiations that brought us together can resume, but on different terms. The Vacrian Empire will recognize humanity as an equal partner, not a subordinate species. Your demonstration of strength has earned that respect. I appreciate that, Lisa said carefully. But I need to be honest. We didn't plan this as a demonstration. I didn't want this fight to happen. I just wanted fair treatment. I know, Veckril said. That makes it more impressive. You stood your ground for a principle, not for advantage. That is also worthy of respect. Jake leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing? Cultural exchange to start, Veckril answered. My people need to learn more about Earth and its inhabitants. We have underestimated Deathworld species before, but never with such clear consequences. I would like to establish a research partnership. In exchange, we can offer technology transfers and access to our trade routes. There's something else, Veckril continued. Something more unusual. The Vacrian Empire maintains several agricultural worlds. Large territories where we grow food for our colonies. Some of these worlds have become too stable, too safe. The ecology is balanced, but fragile. We would like Earth's assistance in introducing certain species. Creatures that can adapt to various environments and help maintain natural balance. Amy looked surprised. You want to import Earth wildlife to Vacrian worlds? Not immediately, Veckril said. But we wish to study the possibility. If your honey badgers can teach our warriors humility, perhaps other Earth species can teach us about proper ecological management. Lisa felt a smile forming. Commander Veckril, I think we can work with that proposal. But we should start with something less aggressive than honey badgers. Maybe African wild dogs or prairie wolves. I trust your judgment, Veckril said. He stood to leave, then paused. Captain Martinez, may I ask a question? Why did you bring the honey badger on a diplomatic mission? Surely you knew it might cause complications. Because Brutus is part of who I am, Lisa said. I could have left him on Earth or hidden him during your visit. But that would have been dishonest. Earth's diversity includes our wildlife. If the Vacrians couldn't accept that, then we would never have a genuine relationship anyway. Veckril nodded slowly. A wise philosophy. Honesty is the foundation of trust. He looked at Brutus, who was still sleeping peacefully. Your small champion has changed more than he knows. The Vacrian Empire will remember this day. After Veckrol returned to his ship, Lisa composed a message to Earth Command. Admiral Peterson's face appeared on the screen, his expression anxious. "Captain Martinez, we heard reports of a combat trial." "What happened?" Lisa gave him a complete briefing, including footage from the arena. The Admiral watched in silence as Brutus fought and killed Commander Zethrak. When the video ended, he sat back in his chair. "This is going to change everything," he said quietly. "When other species hear about this, humanity's reputation will shift overnight. We'll go from curious newcomers to a species that fights above its weight class." "That was never the goal, sir," Lisa said. "I know, but it's the result. Other civilizations will be more cautious around us, more respectful. That buys us time to build our fleets and establish ourselves." He paused. "I'm ordering you to compile a complete database of Earth's wildlife. Classification by danger level, habitat requirements, and potential military applications. If one honey badger can change an empire's perspective, we need to understand what our other species might accomplish. With respect, sir, I don't think we should view Earth's wildlife primarily as weapons," Lisa objected. "Neither do I," the Admiral agreed. "But we need to understand their capabilities. Knowledge is protection, Captain. Prepare the database." The communication ended. Lisa looked at Brutus, who had woken up and was demanding food again. She fed him his favorite meal, watching him eat with his usual enthusiasm. He had no idea that he had just altered humanity's position in the galaxy. Over the next few days, the Vacrian ship remained nearby as both sides worked out the details of their new agreement. News of the combat trial spread through the Vacrian fleet, then to their colonies, then to other species who traded with them. The story grew with each telling, becoming legend. Lisa began work on the wildlife database, starting with species she knew well. For each entry, she included habitat information, behavioral patterns, and survival capabilities. She tried to be fair and accurate, neither exaggerating nor downplaying Earth's dangerous diversity. The entry for honey badgers was simple: Earth designation, Death World species. Appearance: small, approximately 12 kilograms. Capabilities: extreme aggression,